And this is Toilets Titles on the Clock. This is episode number 26. All right, we started a little bit of a series. We started last week. We're ranking teams and conferences based upon the top tier talent these teams have. We're letting you know top 4 teams each conference. Last week we spoke Big 10. This evening we're talking Big 12. I am joined by Big Poppy in the Red Sox uniform over there. All right, that's the mayor of college football. That's Mr. Nino Brown at Nino Brown _T2T on the Twitter. What's cooking?
I'm good. It's the college football Jesus. It's the Johnny Damon, right? He was number 18.
Dude, I like Johnny Damon.
Yeah, I like Johnny Damon until he traded and he cut his hair. But
Right.
that's neither here nor there. We're gonna be talking Big 12. I'm excited for this one. My man got the cap on, right? He's ready to rock. He says, "Okay, does that got the captain's? Does that got the captain's rope? Oh man, right? That is."
It's
Beautiful.
nice. It's
I love
nice.
it.
I tried getting a West Point one like this.
Yeah.
And theirs, it's one of those hats that sits on the top of your head. It's just I don't like it.
It's a B-Rob big hat.
I don't. Yeah, it's like I was like, man, because I've had this one for a few years, and it's like super comfortable. Like you could wear it in the summer, and like where this is the Toast Titles hat breakdown show, and the West Point one didn't fit too nice. But everybody listening at home, check us out. Check out toiletstitles.com. Check out CFB Nation. Nino, like if you're into I say this every week. If you're listening to NFL draft content in July, chances are you're just as sick as we are. And if you're just as sick as we are, there's a few things you need to do. You need to be subscribed to the Toilet Titles Podcast Network. You need to be subscribed to the CFP Nation. You need to reach out to me on Twitter and get in the Gilded Chat where you have access to us 24/7. We just reached 170 members in there. So we're nonstop talking all things NFL draft, NFL, fantasy football, college football, anything you're interested in. So get with us, but you also need to be checking out CFB Prime. I know, Nino, I don't want to go too much on a tangent, but you released a graphic with Prime discussing Venables. So I didn't know. So I'm not as locked into all of the happenings of college football. But before we talk about what Prime said, because Prime blowtorched them, what did Venables say that kind of brought this heat on?
I poked the bear about the turnaround, talking about, he called him prime time, which did not sit very well with Dion. He said, excuse me, sir, it's coach to you. But yeah, he talked about the turnover and how, it's a bad look at college football. It's bad for programs and and Dion said, yo, what do you know about it? Did you win 10 games a season? You barely lose games and you walk into 4 and 5-star players every year. So come on. Now, Boomer might not like that too much, and he might go to bat for his soonest. I understand. But one thing he did say is, ain't nobody with enough star power as Dion. So in college football, he said he thinks that Dion's got more star power right now than Nick Saban. And it might be right. But listen, people want to say forced him out. I ain't forced nobody out. I told you before, that's illegal. He just said, hey, you can stay here, but you're not going to have a scholarship on this team. You're not going to play on this team. So your best bet is if you want to play somewhere, go somewhere else.
Right. Start your process over, go and compete. But, it's crazy. Like, again, I don't want to go too much on a tangent. But Nick Saban, there was a point where, winning championships, that spoke to the youth of this nation. As far as being in the household, with the parents, I'm sure their parents,
right,
their fathers recognized Nick Saban as a guy who's putting players into the NFL. And my birthday this past weekend, I'm getting older. Like we're raising kids, right? We're raising kids, and I'm not saying my kid's going to go on and play D1 football, but if I get a phone call from Prime, we're the generation that grew up with that dude. So now, not only does he speak to the youth of the nation, he speaks to their parents as well. And that might have been some area where Nick Saban kind of had the leverage on guys like him. But we're getting older. Nick Saban's getting older. And man, it's Prime's name carries a big stick.
Before we wrap this up and come full circle back to on the clock, a lot of kids nowadays maybe stay home, stay local. For a guy like Prime, or a guy like, say, Saban. You know what I mean? Because it may not be about the championship for them, but it's what that coach can get out of them to get them to the next level.
Right.
So
Right. Right. And yeah. All right. Well, I'm sure you're check out CFB Prime, check out CFB Nation for more content like that because this guy is nonstop. All right. Let's talk about the Big 12. Okay. So we're talking last week again. We talked Big 10. You can go check that out. That was episode number 25. There were teams in there with massive, massive amounts, especially Ohio State, massive amounts of players who going to be going, first round, second round. All right. So we're going to rank the top four, and we're going to start with number 4. This week, University of Cincinnati. That is your 4, Nino, because that's who I'm bouncing this off of because Nino knows his stuff. All right. The first guy you have, I'm just going to give some basic information on him, and then I want you to kind of break this cat down for me. It's edge. Dante Corleone, who sounds like he might leave a horse head in your bed if you make a mistake. All right, so you have him as a mid to late day 2 pick, 6'2", 320 pounds for an edge defender. I'm interested to hear how this cat moves. 5'10", 40-yard dash. Well, that question's answered. Former 3-star out of Clarion High School, 11 games, 329 snaps, 45 tackles, 19 solo tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries. And big D linemen are like, we mentioned this last week, like their day's kind of coming back. NFL teams are interested. So sell me on Dante Corleone.
All right. 320 pounds. My man got good footwork, right? He only had a 4% missed tackle rate. This is the one. Eye pop it. 93.8 PFF grade. This tells you my man can play, okay? He can play inside and he can play outside. He had 200 snaps in the A gap, 127 snaps in the B gap. My man can beat you on the inside, outside. He's got a quick first step, right? He's great versus the run. 31 run stops last year alone. He's got good instincts. Can get after the quarterback as well. Got strength. 11 QB hurries. Listen, this kid's coming into it. They're part of the Big 12 foursome, right? They're the new 4 coming in. Cincinnati's part of that foursome coming in the Big 12. This kid comes into the Big 12 and puts up replica numbers. You're looking at day 2 pick for sure.
I was interested to see, and I know Cincinnati had a big run a few years ago, right? With Ritter, Sauce. So I was just checking to see, Jerome Ford. I was checking to see if Corleone, it looks like he wasn't on that roster back then, but still, Cincinnati over the past few seasons, I think have earned, especially with whatever you think of Ritter, he's going to be starting for the Atlanta Falcons this season. Okay.
Yeah.
Sauce Gardner is one of the most electrifying players in the NFL. Tyler Scott.
That was this year. Yep.
We'll see. Maybe, and there was another wide receiver who got drafted ahead
of. I think it was Trey something. I know his first name was Trey. He went also to the NFL.
So they got wide receivers. It was Alec Pierce came out before those two guys. But I'm hearing good things about Scott. So we're going to hopefully mid-season we can bring that name back up. But anyway, they're putting guys out. Yeah. And this is a mid to late second day pick, which for a big body like that, actually that's value. You know what I mean? You're taking a guy there. There's a lot of players are going in that area. That means they're legitimate.
My only concern is the head coaching change, right? So Fickle's out. Fickle's in Wisconsin, and now they're bringing Scott Satterfield, and I'm not the biggest Satterfield guy. At 25 and 24 overall record since he's left App State.
Right.
3 out of the 4 seasons you had losing seasons. So I kind of worry, is it going to be the same style, same scheme? We'll have to see.
Right. App State. You ever seen that campus is like, or at least where the football field, the baseball field. I've seen pictures of the baseball field in the fall. Like, App State is beautiful. All right. Oklahoma State, not App State. They got an edge. Colin Oliver, 6'2", 235 pounds. So I want to talk about contrast.
Yeah, right.
Dante, 6'2", 320. This cat, 6'2", 325, running at 4'6", 40. Sounds to me like a high-end outside linebacker. Former 4-star out of Santa Fe High School. His 22 stats, 13 games, 426 snaps, 28 tackles, 19 solo tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, a pass breakup, and 17 run stops. Pretty strong for an edge defender who's known for his passing, rushing presence. So tell me about Colin Oliver.
Colin Oliver is athletic. He's agile. He's got good counter skills, right, for edge rusher. He's a natural edge rusher, 26 QB hurries, 6 QB hits. I mean, he just gets after the quarterback. He adds in, the run stopping capabilities with the 17 run stops last year. He's got good counter skills, like I mentioned. He's explosive. He's got pretty good lateral movement. I call him a ball hawk because his eyes are always locked in the backfield. He's looking for leather all the time. You can go back to week 11, Iowa State. He's capable of these big games. 12 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 run stops, and 8 QB hurries. I mean, it was almost like that guy played on the offensive line, how much he was in the backfield. So,
Yeah, I like that. And I like that saying, looking for leather. I'm going to add that into my vocabulary because that was a good one. It's simple. Like I used to say, like when I coach, like party in the backfield. Like, and I know Stanford kind of that's kind of their thing, party in the backfield. But
yeah.
go look for some leather, man. I like that. Go to find football. All right, so we got Oklahoma State in there. They're number 3. Cincinnati's number 4. Now we're going to move into kind of the big names in this conference, the big dogs who aren't going to be there very long. Right, like they're out of here very soon. So we got Oklahoma. All right, Danny Stutzman put together very well.
Yes.
6'4", 238 pounds, 4'6", 240. Another former 4-star out of Foundation Academy High School. He played in 13 games, 919 snaps. So this dude saw a lot of playing time. Like that's triple the first guy, double the second guy. 125 tackles, 68 solo tackles, 10.5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 2 interceptions, 5 pass breakups, 3 quarterback hits, 11 quarterback hurries. So this dude gets around. So tell me a little bit about him.
I mean, real quick, it's obvious, 2 picks, 5 pass breakups. I mean, he's a good coverage linebacker. He can play out there. He had 102 snaps in the slot, so he's good in zone coverage. You got a linebacker that can play, coverage, and then take 728 snaps in the box, 83 on the line. I mean, this guy's all around, linebacker, all around stud, ready for the next level. He fights through blocks. He can get under your pads and get around you. He's bullish. Puts offensive linemen on their Louboutins. That means he puts them on the heels. He's got good range. He can counter offensive linemen and get to your QB, whether it be a hurry, a sack, whatever it may be, changing the direction of the play. The only problem he's got 2 issues he can work on to, maybe climb the ladder this year. He don't really hit hard, okay? For a guy that, had 125 tackles, he's not going to be, snot bubbling anybody. He wraps up tackles well, but he's not a pow type linebacker. And sometimes he does have trouble getting off the offensive line. If they're able to get them big mitts on him, 238, he's not the biggest guy. They're able to kind of move him around. So if he can work on those things, I got him as an early day 2 pick. He can work on those 2 issues. You might see him creep into a late, day 1.
Yeah, I think that's a very telling factor into the development of these type of players playing in these types of conferences where a lot of what they're dealing with is in space.
Yeah.
So they can chase and run and show the speed, show the aggression, but they're not really showing that coming downhill, fighting on blockers, fighting off blockers. So we got a guy like Kenneth Murray, right? I believe he was a 1st-round pick for the LA Chargers. If not, he was, so he did go in the 1st round. So I wasn't sure if it was 1st or 2nd, but Kenneth Murray, I had nothing but love for that guy coming out of Oklahoma. He struggled a bit in the NFL. What do you think about ceiling for Stutzman? You think, what are we looking at for the NFL for this cat?
So I think ceiling, I mean, as a guy that came in this year, I think you could probably, like Drew Sanders would be a ceiling.
Right.
And then, floor could be like a JOK, like, you know what I mean? Like, so like it all depends, because at the next level, those offensive linemen are a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger. If you can't get around, right, and you get grabbed up by an oven mitt, and that's the end of your pass rush, it's going to be a problem. Do you want to be? But you can look at a guy who was great at coverage, right, who can get after the QB, but doesn't. Maybe one more this year is Fred Warner, and he's as a top 5 linebacker, but he's a great coverage LB.
Right.
He'll eliminate anything in the middle of the field. So
yeah.
He could be a Fred Warner. He's got that similar style, but he doesn't hit like Fred. Freddie will knock the snot out.
Right. So. Right. Well, that whole, like, I'm so jealous of what San Francisco has on that defensive side of football, right? Like, you just gotta, like, I like what we got. I like Micah Parsons. I like our safeties. I like what we have. I like Trayvon Diggs, but just San Francisco, the way they play the game, like, hats off to them. Play the game right. Fred Warner, just business. Greenlaw, business. Now, what makes me excited about this guy, if I'm listening at home, I'm putting an asterisk next to his name. And the reason I'm putting an asterisk next to his name is because the names you mentioned, Nino, were big time risers at
Yeah.
the end of the process.
Yep.
Guys like this usually catch people's attention, and he's Oklahoma,
Right.
right? So he's going to have people's attention early just because where he plays. But even if he's not, if he's in the early day two, maybe mid day two conversation, I wouldn't be surprised if he puts up big numbers this year, shows out at the combine. People, everybody, it's like the old cartoons from like the late 80s with the wolf whose eyes pop out of his head. Like that's what happens to draft scouts when they see guys like this at the underwear Olympics. I know you laugh every
Oh
time I
boy.
say that, but that's the combine, man. They're putting underwear on and they're running through the Olympics. So
He's a big program. He's a big name. But if he ain't getting the buzz come towards the end of the year, he's a prime Senior Bowl candidate.
love it. Love it. There we
We've
go.
seen major linebackers come through there, right?
Who can move, like
Yep.
guys who can move too.
Thank
Like
you.
this year it was all linebackers. Look at Overshown.
Right. Right.
Like he went down there, did some things in pass rush, did some things at coverage. And now, he's shown out in the NFL. They knew what to expect from him because of the Senior Bowl. Defensive coordinators, they know what they want. And there's a defensive coordinator who saw what he did. It's like, I got a job for him, and drafted him. And now they're pretty excited about that guy. So yeah, I would love to see a guy like this at the Senior Bowl. And that's why it's so fun that we're starting this process early.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be, by the time I said this last week, so I don't want to, beat that horse or be a broken record, but, having these names and kind of talking about them and they get an opportunity to possibly meet them in person, see them in person, it's going to be awesome. And I did lie earlier. I said top four. Last week we did top four because there were so many players in the top four. This week we're doing top five. Okay. So I apologize. 5 Cincinnati, 4 Oklahoma State, 3 Oklahoma, number 2 Kansas State. All right. They got an interior offensive lineman who's an early day one pick, which excites me. I like offensive linemen because it's hard. I feel like offensive lineman is one of those positions where you do miss occasionally.
Yeah.
But if you're a dude, generally it translates to the NFL. So Cooper
Yeah.
Beebe, 6'3", 320 pounds, 785 snaps, 395 snaps in pass block, 89.5 PFF grade pass block, and an 80.6 PFF overall. So why don't you tell me a little bit about Cooper Beebe from Kansas State?
Cooper Beebe, a.k.a. Jersey Barrier. Good luck moving the 320 pounds around. This dude you are not beating him on the line. Okay, he had one.
I got a question. The Jersey Barrier, like he's from Jersey?
No, as in the Jersey Barrier in the middle of the highway. They call those the cement barriers.
Oh, okay. I thought I thought we were, because this was going to bring it back to Corleone up above. I thought we had like another mafia guy. Like this would put Cooper Beebe in front of Dante Corleone and you protect the mafia boss. But I'm sorry, that Jersey Barrier. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's like a cement block. That's why I call him. You ain't moving. He don't let anybody buy him. And this guy's dealing with top of the line pass rushes. He's getting the big dogs. My man committed 1 penalty all year last year. 1. All right. So my man's got the IQ. He's good at his craft, right? He's got a high motor. He will drive you to the ground or keep driving you forward even after the whistle. My man plays through the ball. All right. You got to get him off you to tell him that the play is dead. He's got good handwork, right? He's like a baby E Honda, not crazy, but that's guys that are good at the handwork. You know the deal. He's a mauler in the run game. That's just his natural position. Like he wants to go forward, and he will just lay on your back. So he's got a little bit to work on in the pass protection, right? That's more of his weakness when it comes to the O-line and his patience. My man gets a little giddy. Right? He wants to hit somebody so bad and so on. Sometimes he gets off the line too quick. I think if he would have had a little bit of patience, put his 320 pounds into play, he would have won that one. So Cooper Beebe I'm going to go with the 3rd offensive lineman off the board.
After Fashanu, and who else?
And Joe Alt.
Alt, okay. Yeah. I like it, man. And I'm excited to watch this cat this year. Good luck trying to find leather lined up on Cooper Beebe, because it ain't happening. All right, you're gonna find yourself buried in the ground.
Yes,
all right, this next team, Texas, they're number 1, which it's been a while, right? Since Texas has been the dominant, and I'm not saying dominant as far as wins and losses goes, because anything can happen. but have the most talented roster in a division, in a conference. So
Yep.
this guy, Quinn Ewers, he tons of buzz. You know, obviously with our Arch Manning, he had his buzz. But when Quinn was coming out of high school, they're like, was he the start of like kind of the mixtape TikTok generation? Like Quinn was
Spencer Rattler was, because he was on
okay,
Netflix, right? He won the Netflix
right,
QB1 show, and
right.
Quinn was like the next
But
group
Quinn,
of.
I don't know if Spencer had like the TikToks and the Vines and like the short clips,
Oh
like
yeah, he might have been the social media.
like the just
Yeah.
like the 60
Yeah.
second, like I'm gonna put 4 clips together of just some absurd throws.
Dumb
Quinn
throw.
Ewers, it's about that time for this man to move on to the NFL. I know you have him as a top 15 prospect. It's going to be very exciting to see if he can play a full season, right? And if he could lead his team to anything significant, if he could put himself in Heisman conversation, because those are all things most people expected when he signed on at the University of Texas. But let's talk about him going into the year. We're not going to project too much. We're going to talk about what he's done, where he's at. 6'2", 206 pounds, 5-star from Carroll High School, committed to Ohio State. Then he transferred. All right, so I don't know what your thoughts are on that 4.7 40-yard dash. What are your thoughts on Mr. Quinn Ewers?
All right, Joe Burrow went to Ohio State and transferred, so
Right.
we can the transfer thing. I don't want to hear about it.
Okay.
But one thing that I heard today, shout out my guy Zach Smith from Menace to Sports. They asked him, better QB this year, and this is where it got tight because they were going through a run. Bo Nix and Quinn Ewers, and I sat there about as long as he did, and I was like, because I think Texas is back. I know they've been saying this for 10 years, but I think if they ain't back now,
Jared's going to hate this episode.
Yeah, I know. We picked up his guy Stutzman, so it is what it is. He's horns down for life. Boom, we know the deal. But listen, he's got all the intangibles. He's got all the talent. They got a big O-line. The only question on that whole team, defense and offense, special teams, is running back. Okay? Is it going to be a 3-headed committee, or are they going to give it to the 5-star freshman Cedric Baxter Jr. and let him go? We all know Texas freshmen don't start. True freshmen don't start in Texas. Like, it just does. That's not how they do it, right? They may get a couple, but they're loaded all over the board. He's got all the check marks you want, okay? He can spray the ball all over the field. He's a pure athlete. He can step up in the pocket. He moves well around the pocket to continue, the play. He's got good ball placement. He's got good touch. He got pop, zip, whatever you want to call it. He anticipates well. He can lead the receivers to an open spot on the field. I got 3 concerns. One of them is not really a big concern, but he tends to hold the ball like as if he's a wide receiver or a DB running downfield sometimes when he's running. Like, that'll get you killed. That'll turnovers. That'll get you in the doghouse real quick. Okay.
Right. But it looks good.
It looks super good. All right. I think he's
right,
a little bit.
But that wasn't a compliment. That's
no.
That's like a silly, like, come on. Like,
that's
why
are you
holding the ball? Like, you're holding the ball like that. You never taught that.
It's not backyard football.
That's a choice.
Yeah, exactly. You're setting yourself up to fail.
Mm-hmm.
His downfield accuracy could be better. It's not bad, but it could be better. Okay, he can work on that. And he needs. Sometimes he gets a little giddy and he puts a little bit too much oomph. He's got touch. He can put a ball in a bucket downfield. But sometimes when he needs to just lollipop it over, he puts a little bit too much zip and makes the receiver have to make a more acrobatic play than necessary. Okay,
right.
He's not flying it 10 yards over his head into the stands, but he's making his receiver do a little bit more work.
My thoughts.
Yeah, don't talk.
I was just gonna say with him, just sometimes I feel like I'd like to see the simple basic throw sometimes more often than I feel like sometimes he extends plays when he doesn't need to, or he throws it from a plane that he doesn't need to. Like, I'd like to see him a little more rely on basic fundamentals. Like, I know you have all these other capabilities, but just because you have them doesn't mean that shouldn't be your go-to. That should be your you stopped this. Well, now I'm going to do this. You know what I'm saying?
Know what that's called?
What's that?
He was a freshman.
Right.
Called growing pains, right?
Right.
I get it. He asked for it. You're going to a big program, Ohio State, then you go to another big program in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to be the guy to bring him back. He was a freshman. People have to understand that, right? And I called that they were going to beat Alabama. And if he does not get injured in that damn game, they're beating Alabama, right? They're beating Alabama this year. You can put that in your pipe and smoke it.
But but we need to see that. I'd like to see that progression. Like, that's also maturity, Like seeing him, let's
you
see
saw
it.
it there. It was 9 for 12,
Right.
75% completion. He had
Right.
138 yards. He was grooving. Then he got
Right.
hurt. Like,
Right.
so it all went downhill from there. But like last year's stats, okay, right? 59% completion, 58 point, whatever it was. He had 2,200 yards, 15 touchdowns, only 6 picks. He missed a few games, only played 10, right? Had a rushing touchdown as well. He had 268 dropbacks.
Right.
At an average depth of target, 10.6. We like that. He's not doing these Duncan dink throws, right? He's getting them out there, and he's making his receivers, downfield. Now, the other thing that I liked, he had 17 big-time throws, right? That's like a 6.6 big-time throw rate. That puts him, in the upper class of QBs for big-time throws last year, and he missed some games. I think he's a top 15 pick. In my eyes, I think that he's probably going to be QB3 off the board. There's a very, very good chance he could be QB2. I think it's going to come down to Bo and him for the second or third QB off the board. We obviously know who QB1 is.
It's an exciting year to need a quarterback. Like this year's quarterback class is going to be a lot of fun. And you're a Patriots fan.
Yeah.
I mean, you got it's got to be exciting for you because you could very well be in the mix. I'm not saying you're going to be in the mix for the QB1, but you could be in the mix for a quarterback in the first round, wherever you're picking. And there's going to be some options. So I know you're going to be tuned in because you're going to have some skins in the game with that one. And I mean, as a Cowboys fan, Dak just turned 30.
Oh, boy.
He needs a contract. I like him, but he needs a new contract. So I wouldn't be surprised if they don't make it past a certain point this season. If they got to pay Parsons, they got to pay Diggs.
He's got to win a playoff game.
Yeah, he did last year. They won
one.
Yeah. I mean, he's got to take us to a NFC Championship.
That's what I'm saying. Like, let's get out of the wild card.
Right. Yeah, not be the reason we lose a game in the playoffs too. All right, so Quinn Ewers is going to have a phenomenal wide receiver to throw to. You talked about the running backs and who's going to step up there. We already know they're loaded at receiving options this year, and it starts with Xavier Worthy, 6'2". 163 pounds. That dude is slight, but he runs a 4.2 40, 71 PFF grade, 13 games, 99 targets, 60 receptions, 760 yards, 12.7 yards per catch, 9 touchdowns, 283 yards after catch. What I like about this guy is he's not just a gadget guy. And they pepper him.
Oh, yeah.
Like for a guy of his size and his stature and his speed, usually there's another receiver on the roster who is that guy the quarterback targets when he needs a big catch. Like, this guy's going to be double covered. Defense knows it's coming. This guy's got reliable hands. He's going to be where he's going to go. I'm going to target him. Worthy, when things got dirty, that's where they went. And you add that to the rest of his capabilities. That says a lot. Being an alpha in an area full of alphas like that's huge. So why don't you break down Xavier Worthy for us?
So listen, he did all that: 60 receptions, 760 yards, 9 touchdowns. And the rumors are that he had a messed up hand and an ankle injury. So like, imagine him fully healthy. And now you add in A.D. Mitchell, right? And you subtract Bijan Robinson. So and Jonte Cooks is there, the freshman wide receiver, and there's a gentleman we're going to speak about after Worthy who's there, who could be a possible day 1, day 2 pick.
Did you draft in your college fantasy football league yet?
Yeah.
Where did Worthy go? Early. Had to be one of the top wide receivers.
Second round. He went second round.
Yeah. Love it.
He was like first pick, second round. I want to say first or second pick in the second round.
Monster numbers this year.
Yeah. I mean, listen, he at A dot 17.8. You're getting targeted almost 20 yards downfield. You're the dude, right? 282 snaps out wide, 84 on the slot. He can play both. He's mostly your guy outside. He only had 4 contested catches, right? But he had 94% snap share. He is a skilled, jiggy, twitchy route runner. He's great outside of numbers. And this is what I love about him. My man can play with you. He leaves enough space on the sideline for like the QB to get a nice tight throw. It's only him and like an inch between the sideline. Boop. Nobody else is getting it but me. I'm going to put it in place where my QB can throw a ball that's not going to be contested. He's got elite burst. He's a natural playmaker. He's smoother than a baby's bottom out there running routes. Sub 10, 600 meter, right? Former 2021 Big 12 freshman of the year. Last year he was all Big 12 second team. Like this kid's it, right? He's however you want to break it down, top 2, top 3 wide receiver in the class.
Right.
I mean, I think he can fill in between the 2 Ohio State receivers.
I love it. I love it. I wonder what Marquise Goodwin ran. That was another Texas wide receiver who's track star. I'm assuming much better than
4.23. I think it was something like that.
Well, I'm interested in the 100-meter, like
a
track event.
Yeah.
I wonder how worthy. I'm sure it's track, like Olympic speed is a lot different than football track speed, but I'd be interested to see how those two match up. And I'm sure they've met each other, and I'm sure they might have raced before, being to a Texas alum and a Texas wide receiver. All right, you mentioned this player. You know, you kind of alluded to him. Tavion Sanders, tight end, 6'4", 249 pounds, 5-star from Ryan High School, 4.56 40. Dude sounds like a phenomenal athlete. I haven't had a chance to watch him yet. Why don't you tell me about him?
All right, so listen, I did a Debbie Dollins last night. Talking about K Clubbing with Shane Hallam in Draft Countdown. Shout out Draft Countdown, him and Brian Bosage. They're the dudes, right? And I asked him off camera, what are your thoughts on Tavion Sanders? Because I'm hearing all over the place. Like from what I see, yeah, he could be a freak tight end. But you know, there was a lot of injuries last year. They peppered him for like 60, I think it was 56 receptions. So like, it was 600 something yards. My thing is like, is he going to be the guy? Now you have, you bring in AD Mitchell, who is a deep threat. I understand that, but Namath's healthy. He's going to play the slot, right? And you have the true freshman Cooks. Is there going to be enough for him to get to the next level? Get in that, Benjamin Urasek, Michael Trigg, in that class of tight ends, Jaheim Bell, because we all know that's Brock Bowers, and then it's a whole different tier after that. So, yeah, maybe he could be that second tight end off the board, especially if from what I believe happens, if Texas takes a step and becomes a top 5 team in college football, and Quinn Ewers becomes a top 3 QB in the nation, I'm assuming Sanders is going to be one of the factors to it. I mean, the kid is an athletic freak. You know what I mean? He's a possession receiver. He's a middle of the field monster. He's a natural playmaker. He had 15 contested catches last year out of his 56. He gets thrown to it, and his contested catch rate is 53%. So most of the time he's getting thrown at, it's in traffic with dudes in the middle of the field, and he's got soft hands. He could probably catch an egg out there, not even crack it. Things he needs to work on. He needs to work on is the run block. That's where Michael Mayer, I think, and Brock Bowers was kind of guys that are ahead of him. I know Mayer was this last class, but these are the alphas, right? Even Laporta, right? They're good they can run block as well as go out there and play the natural tight end position. So if he can button that up, right, work on his run blocking, and then he needs to work on speed in and off the line, like getting off the line, making that first move, if it's a fake block or throwing a block and then moving out. He needs to work on that. If he can, hone in those skills, I think he could be a dude. I mean, he's all over the field. He had almost 260 yards after the catch. But look, he lined up 240 times in line, right? 47 times outside and 96 in the slot. So this dude can literally play receiver all over the field, and he can play the natural tight end position. If he can tighten up that run blocking and be an asset to them, he's on the field every play.
Man, I'm gonna be excited for watching them play Oklahoma, and I want to see Stutzman. The way you broke down Stutzman, and then the way you're breaking down Sanders,
locked.
It seems like they're both made. They're made to compete with each other, and I'm excited to watch that. But I'm also excited about the next few guys, because you've mentioned a few times you believe Texas is a top 5 program this year.
Yeah,
and I don't believe they'd be in the running for a top 5 program without a defense. Right. You got to have a defense in order to compete with some of these big schools we've seen in the past few years. And there's a few guys on the defensive side of the football that you believe are going to go in the first 2 rounds. Let's start with this guy, Alfred Collins, 6'5", 302 pounds, 4-star from Cedar Creek High School, 4.95 40, 6'5", 302, and he's under 5 seconds. All right. So I'm going to let you, there's some of your notes on here. Phenomenal. All right. So tell me in the world about Alfred Collins.
I mean, I call him Carmen San Diego when it comes to finding the ball. My man's locked in with, he got his binoculars on. He's going to find you anywhere in the world. He's also like a bull in a china shop when it comes to being a pass rusher. You ain't stopping him. He's breaking everybody down, and he's causing havoc. This dude is going to climb boards this year. He's got smooth movement, but you add in he's got a high motor as a pass rusher. He's quick off the snap. And here's a couple things he's got to work on, right? He needs to get that pass rushing, like just – he'll dominate in run stopping, but we got to get. He's just got to get more variety in his pass rushing skills. Okay, he's a little bit raw. That's the thing. Develop a counter, right? He's got some decent handwork, but he's going to need more physical, stronger offensive lineman will be able to shed his handwork and lock him up. And then he's got to be able to like hone in on the closing speed. But listen, he had 3 QB hits, 8 QB hurries, 6 run stops, 243 snaps total. He's going to see that increase. Those numbers will increase. He's going to be a dude this year. Look out for Alfred Collins on the rise.
What was Tyree Wilson?
Yes.
I think his 40 was probably higher than that, but he was like, what, 6'5", 6?
I think he's 6'7".
That big.
Did you see that video that went around afterwards? He's in the elevator with everybody. Linebackers, running backs,
Right.
like 6 or 7 of them. He's got like 6 inches on everyone.
Really?
Oh, he's enormous.
I did not see that. I'm gonna have to go check it out, man.
He is a monster of a human being.
Man, now he's out there in Las Vegas with Max Crosby. That'll be a lot of fun to watch this year. All right, T'Vondre Sweat, defensive tackle, 6'4", 340. So talk about size on this defensive side of the football. 6'4", 6'5", 340, 302, 10 1/4 inch hands, 81-inch wingspan, 26.5-inch vertical, and he's a 3-star at Huntsville High School. So tell me about him.
This guy, he's a heel rocker, right? He's going to instantly, as soon as, the ball snapped, you're backpedaling. You're on your heels. He's got good handwork, like I always say. Honda, get in there, get in your face, knock you out. He got laser beams to the ball in the backfield. He's always looking for leather. And he owns the leverage point, whether it's inside or outside, right? I call him Detour because he's always making running backs take a different route. You see him coming back there, you best not run at T'Vondre Sweat. He's still a little raw, and he can work on his lateral movements a little bit slow. But, I mean, he's got all the size and intangibles around him. This guy tweaks any of that, he's climbing. I got him as, a late day 2, early day 3 pick. But if he can tweak things,
right?
Like I said, top 5 program, you're going to be playing, good football. Sky's the limit for this gentleman.
Man, they're another thing that stands out about this roster is how well-rounded it is. Like receiver, tight end, quarterback, D tackle, edge. Now we got a safety. So it's not like they're loaded necessarily in bunches and clusters. It's spread out throughout the team, which kind of reminds me, I'm not saying it's Georgia, right? But Georgia, we watched them the last few years, and these are all first rounders, but it's, a D tackle, an edge defender, a linebacker, a corner, a safety was seen, running back, wide receiver, tight end. So it's it seems like they have depth, top tier talent at each position.
And they're going to be led by a true freshman linebacker, Anthony Hill Jr., that's probably going to put up 100 tackles.
Where's he from?
I don't know off the top of my head. I just know he's an absolute.
Probably Texas.
He probably is from Texas,
yeah.
to be totally honest with you. He is an absolute monster. He is going to, Overshawn is going to be an oversight.
Right. Overshawn came in as a safety.
I'm just saying, he is going to be, and he's from Denton, Texas.
Of course.
He's the number 1 LB in the class. You know what I mean? He's number 17 overall in the whole class, in the whole class.
Man, they're going to be low. I wonder how much Arch going there had to do with him signing. But that's a conversation for
I know.
CFP
I'm sorry. I
get excited. No. I'm excited too because man, I almost just dropped an F-bomb. I'm glad I did it. But football, training camps. What? I'm trying not to look at my phone, but I got to look at the calendar. 8 days away. NFL teams are reporting to training camp in 8 days. On this week's episode of Toilets and Titles, I talked about this being one of the best times of the year. Not my favorite. Draft season is my favorite, but because everybody's coming back.
Right.
The regular people who aren't crazy like we are, they're starting they're starting to show up and sit down, and they're coming back, and everybody's starting to come back. Football's coming, man. So we're going to be able to see this freshman linebacker that you're talking about very soon. But let's wrap this thing up with one more player. It's a safety out of Texas, Jalen Catalon. All right, 5'10", 201 pounds. He was a 4-star recruit out of Mansfield Legacy High School, 4.5 40-yard dash. Tell me about him.
You say coming back. Well, it's nice that Jalen Catalon's coming back. He's coming back from Arkansas. He's coming back to hopefully be that 4-star recruit that we've seen coming out of high school. I mean, he's only played 7 games since 2020. He flashed in 2020. 99 tackles, 57 solo, right? 2 tackles for loss, 3 picks, and 4 pass defenses. If everything works out this year in Texas for him, he's a dude, right? He got great closing speed. He's twitchy for a safety. He got good instincts. He understands coverages. He's a solid tackle. He can hit you. I noticed a big name to put out there, but he's a bigger Derwin James. Okay, his style of play. Okay, and as he was as a prospect, he's a bigger guy. He can close. He can be in your neck. Right. He can hit you and knock the ball out. Right. He got good arm, good length. Like, this is what he was coming out of high school. We saw a flash of that in 2020 at Arkansas. Now you with the big boys, right? Now you're gonna be put on the big stage, and I think
bigger dirt. I might go watch this guy now.
I'm telling you, go watch Arkansas, right? Go watch 2020, right? The style of play he has, and then you can go to Huddle, and I'll send it to you. But you can watch his senior year at Mansfield Legacy. Dude, this kid is it. He just couldn't stay healthy.
Right.
7 games in 2 seasons is, you know what I mean? Are you gonna ever get back to that form? If he can get back to that form, 100+ tackles as a safety.
He's a senior.
Yeah.
So we might see him at the Senior Bowl.
Correct.
Heck yeah.
Dude, this kid comes out and gets 100 tackles as a safety.
Right. Hell yeah, man. I'm fired up. I cannot wait for some college football. I can't wait for NFL draft season. We got a lot of stuff coming in between there. So everybody, we appreciate you for joining this evening. It's been a lot of fun. We're going to continue this series. We're going to be talking about some other big conferences, some other big players, but make sure while you're watching this show, write these names down, put some asterisks down, because these are going to be guys you're going to be hearing about, like your buddy, who listens to Sirius XM in January is going to start to hear these names. You're going to be able to say, oh, I know that guy. I know this about him. This is where he belongs, because we're getting you set up and ready. But Nino, you're constantly working, man. You are nonstop. I know you got some interviews coming up. Why don't you let everybody know what they can find on the CFB Nation YouTube channel?
It might be dropping tonight, if not tomorrow. Tomorrow morning. I just did an interview with Tennessee commit defensive lineman Carson Gendel. I got an interview coming up with Stanford commit tight end Aiden Black. I just recorded. It'll be released, I believe, tomorrow. My Dynasty Diamonds, Michael Pittman, episode 40. We got a P2P dropping about Texas Tech's Red Raiders. We're locked and loaded. I'm giving everything I can. I'm grinding. Me and Coach are like Oshers. We got a head in the sand. We're just coming up with everything we can.
Man, nonstop. And CFB Nation is at the CFB Nation on the Twitter. Toilets Titles at Toilets Titles on the Twitter. You can find all of our content there. You can find the content toiletstitles.com. Be greatly appreciated if you subscribe. If you want to interact with us, get in the Gilded Chat. You can reach out to me on the Twitter at Coach Sheps. You can reach out to Nino at Nino Brown _T2T. We'll take care of you. All right. We'll keep you all set up, hooked up. All right. So you are ready to go when NFL, college football, when the seasons come up, when you're getting ready to play fantasy football.